I'm Dr. John Sanders at Voyage Clinics Podcast. Welcome to the podcast. Today, Ryan Hokanson has joined us. He's a good friend, and I want him to kind of give a brief introduction bio, and then we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, thanks, John. I'm just so excited to be here. I know we've been talking about this for a long time, and lots of things happen, so I'm glad to be here. The simplest thing about me, I'm not huge on bios. I started out wanting to be a farmer rancher when I was a kid, and then, about 14 years ago, I was like, I want to serve people. And that has really been the driver of my life, even back before then. And so I've just been a deep studier of life and people and what allows us to live beautiful lives. And I call myself a presence coach because presence is life. If we're not here, then where are we? And so I love that. And every single time I'm with a client or with a friend, even, just with people, individuals, it's like, where can we get that little bit of spark and that little bit of connection to ourselves?
Yeah.
And so that's what I've been doing for the last 14 years. And I absolutely love it. Again, I'm not huge on bios, but I do love the fact that I'm a lover of life. It's like, how can we get the most out of life? I say that all the time. It's like, where can we miss? And sometimes I get a little bit too impactful for people because that's just a lot. It's like, let's go. If we want to play big, let's play big.
That's awesome. Where did you grow up?
So I was born in Utah.
Yeah.
Then when I was 11, we moved to Nebraska. I spent about 20 years out there. So
hence the farming
and
ranching.
Yeah. For about 7 years, we lived out in the middle of nowhere, 2 miles from our nearest neighbors, 20 miles from town, hour and a half from Walmart. Ran 350 head of cows and farmed a ton of acres. So
wow,
a lot of fun.
That's cool. I grew up similarly in a mining town in central Nevada, about 250 miles away from the nearest Walmart.
Okay,
And a lot of ranching, farming, alfalfa and cows, but mostly mining. It's a little mining town. Mm-hmm. My dad worked in the mine. And
that's so fun.
Yeah, that's cool. I think you learn a lot of grit in those situations. You learn how to work hard. You learn how to wake up super early. You learn how to go to bed dog tired, how to buck hay, and how to skin an animal and do all the things. And it's good. It's good living. The good living. I think it's an honest push toward life.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things you learn there you don't live in this that you don't learn in this modern life. There's sometimes I wish, for my kids, I wish I could get you out on the farm a little bit. and there's a reason that I'm not out there, right? Because it is a lifestyle for sure.
Yeah.
A beautiful one. And it takes a lot of your life. So,
man, I was struggling with this too as my kids were in their teens. I have one left in his teens. All my other ones are grown and out of the house. But it is hard to raise a child it's a different equation, right? We woke up, we had to milk the goats. We had to feed the cows. We had to change the chicken manure and tend to the garden, and a lot of hard work, and you get dirty and you sweat and you're tired. And in the urban areas, my dad would call them city slickers or city dudes. It's harder to learn those same lessons. I think they still get it. I think sometimes they get it from sports. Sometimes they get it from band. Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
It's
marching intense,
band.
right?
It's intense. And cheer and drill team. And they work these kids pretty hard. So I think it's still doable.
For sure. I think that the way I like to look at it is that life has for us what we're ready for. And so as much as sometimes I wish my kids could be out there, I see what they are experiencing. And my daughter is in dance and she's in debate, one of them. And my son, he is so he's got this friend group that just absolutely astounds me because there's stuff in life and there's some heavy stuff and they just are there for each other so much. And so I'm like, wow, as much as I know how my upbringing was, I love seeing the experiences that he has. And I think my one thing that I do is my kids always are like, Dad, you don't like to use the dishwasher. It's like, no, I don't. I like doing the dishes by hand with you because it's just a little bit of that, because I think I do miss that hands-on working with them and washing dishes together is that one thing that it's always there. It never goes away. So it's
cool.
It's kind of a treat and a punishment to do dishes with Dad.
What a cool tradition though. A way to just connect. Yeah. You can just connect.
You just get conversations.
Small moment, but it can be meaningful. That's cool.
To try it, so.
Well, I'm excited about this. So, Shauna and I, we opened Voyage Clinics 8 years ago, and we love serving and helping people in so many ways. And you're very service oriented and helper oriented, and I think you do interesting, beautiful work as well. I think it's more impactful than the work that I do as a physician, but because you're really trying to move the needle in someone's life that, they may be empty inside. They may have a lot of things, but they may not be walking the path that is most satisfying or most fulfilling for them. What was it? I was listening to a podcast. I love listening to podcasts. And there was actually it was one of my friends. He was at an MBA in South Africa in an MBA program. And the speaker was talking about who's been affected by AIDS, HIV, and who has been affected by some of the racism stuff. And, lots and lots of the people raised their hands. And she asked a few more questions. Then she asked the question, like, who in here has had a moment of pure joy? And the HIV and the the racism stuff, 90% of people raise their hands. And the pure joy one, this is one of the most expensive MBA programs in South Africa. It's like really well-to-do, very well-to-do people.
So it's not like they were missing out on life experiences or whatever.
Yeah, they were very well off. And there was about 30 to 40% of the people that raised their hands, like having not really had the moment of real joy. And holy moly, like that speaks, I think, volumes to a lot of things, perception and what is it in life that really brings joy and fulfillment and satisfaction? Similarly, my wife and I are speaking at a conference in this next week, and that's my topic actually. Is like, how do we find fulfillment in this journey as physicians or as people as we're going along working our whole lives? What is it that matters, and how do we find joy and satisfaction in our efforts, such that when we're ready to retire or move on or do something different, we're not left an empty shell?
Yeah, I love that question. Yeah, I love that. Like, the interesting thing is that 10 years ago I couldn't have said I had the pure joy. I didn't have that. What I have now, like the love that I have for life, it comes from a lot of work, but it also comes from a little bit of knowing. And I think that one of the biggest things that I've found, I'm going to share two. One is self-love. Because that shell that you mentioned, like we get to end in like an empty shell, it's because we're missing something in here. And what we're missing that I've found in my work and with all these people that I've served is the connection to self. Now, the challenging, exciting thing about that is that we're always here. Like, I call myself a presence coach, and I like to work with people to help them be present, but it's actually to help them be present with the them that's already there. Like, they're not gone anywhere. It's just slowing down enough. And that's the second point, is self-love. But how do we get there? And it's slowing down. It sounds so simple that most of us don't do it. But when we slow down, when we settle down and we just be with us, like, it's moving. It's like we just don't feel. And that happens, like, the way I like to share it is it happens because of life. We don't know that we can feel. And we can get into why don't we feel the joy. The reason we don't feel the joy is because we don't feel the sadness. And it's because we close down our emotional capacity because of different things. And that starts from like the time we're 2 years old-ish, right? And so here's John, and he's got these brand new pair of shoes, and you're walking out of the shoe store. Like, what shoes would you pick? Were they like the light up shoes where you stomp and your feet light up? Like, what would be that pair for you that's just like, oh my gosh, this is like the best pair of shoes ever?
For me?
Yeah, like 2 years old, 3 years old.
Oh, at 2 or 3?
Yeah, at 2 or 3. Like, you're just, oh my gosh, these are just like the best.
Probably moccasins or Birkenstocks.
Okay, awesome.
Or no shoes at all, just run around.
Yeah, that would be the best. But we're going to use shoes in this instance. So you get this brand new pair of shoes and you walk out, but outside of the shoe store in these brand new pair of shoes, it's raining. And when it rains, there's mud puddles. And as a 2-year-old, you're like, oh my gosh, there's a mud puddle. And so what does the 2-year-old do? They run and they jump in the mud puddles. Like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. We're just excited. We're joyful. We're feeling life. But the thing that happens after that is mom and dad being kind, loving parents. They're like, oh, John, why'd you jump in that mud puddle? You just ruined your shoes. And now I can't be myself without getting in trouble. But then what happens when we get in trouble is we feel sad. And when we feel sad, we're like, we want to cry. And so we're like, oh my gosh, not only did I get in trouble by mom and dad, but now my shoes are ruined. And so I want to cry. But then we start crying and mom and dad are like, John, stop crying. You did this to yourself. And so that's like the first instance. And obviously this is just one scenario, but that's the first instance we learn that we can't feel emotion. And so like, I got to be strong so mom and dad are happy so they won't get after me or whatever. And then, a couple years down the road, we get to kindergarten and we got this beautiful, if it's a female, like she gets a beautiful dress, she did her hair up really nice. Or if it's a guy, like you come in, you got your favorite t-shirt on, it's got your favorite like superhero on it. And somebody walks up and says, that's the stupid superhero. Why do you want to do that? And then once again, we're like, oh no, I can't be me. And so that happens over and over and over throughout a 40, 50, 60-year-old life. And we just shut ourselves down. And what I've noticed is every time that I like to look at it as like a keyboard. So we have this keyboard of emotions. And every time we take a key off the low end of the notes, we also take a key off the upper side of the notes. And so we get down to where we're in our 40s, 30s, 50s, and we can only play 2 or 3 keys. And so it just gets really mundane. And then it's like, oh, how do I do that? And it's because we gotta open up ourselves to feeling again. It's not always easy until we slow down.
How do we get to that spot? I want to make a real quick point when we're talking about this, because the examples that you gave us they're examples of a little bit a lack of emotional intelligence from parents. And I think definitely like, as parents, if we get better at that process of allowing our children to express emotions and things and really getting good at validating their happiness.
Right.
I mean, jump in the mud puddle with your kid.
Absolutely.
Like, go in there.
And this isn't like, I love that, because this isn't mom and dad are bad. No. Right? It's no judgment. And it doesn't matter whether it's the mud puddle or something else. Like, I have a dear friend that shared a story, and one of his traumatizing experiences growing up was that his mom gave him like 5 or 6 less macaroni noodles than his sisters. Like, it's almost like we can't, as parents, we're never going to be perfect, because it's the human nature to find those places where I'm not quite good enough. Yeah. And so it's not about the parents not being good parents. Like, I know I work really, really hard, and I know I'm going to have some stuff that my kids get to work through. Yeah. It's the human process of finding like, am I good enough to be loved? And we do that as children to ourselves, whether we have the best parents on the planet or the worst. And so it's really about that self-discovery, and it's really about that self-acceptance. It's about, how do I accept that, that I'm worthy of love?
I want to share one of my favorite podcasts on parenting. It was by Andrew Huberman and Becky Kennedy. Mm-hmm. She's a PhD psychologist, human psychology, pediatric or childhood psychology. Brilliant minds, both of them. And they just nerd out for like 2.5 hours on parenting. And she gives some nuggets. And I'm like, oh, why didn't I read that sooner as a parent? I wish I really messed that up. But one of the things she talks about is like job description. She's like, nobody talks about parent or child's job descriptions. Yeah. If you know your job description, you'll be able to execute a lot better.
Absolutely.
So she breaks it down. She says, here's your job description. Parents, your job. Oh no, let's start with the kid. Kid, your job is to have emotions. Mm-hmm. And big and small and fragile and raging and all these emotions. That's it. That's your whole job. That's it. And parents, your job is to validate those emotions. Yep. Just be present with them and allow for them to express and allow. We are truly emotional animals. Absolutely. We are just taught to be so left-brained and to squash the emotion centers and the right brain. Like that, we're just like, no, more of this, more of left brain dominant stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think it does hurt us. I think we stop resonating with our emotion centers, and there's a disconnect, and there's a lack of groundedness, and a lack of there's a really great book called The Ant and the Elephant. Mm-hmm. And the ant is that frontal cortex. It's that left brain analyzing and help, discovering and figuring, don't jump in the mud puddle because your shoes are going to get dirty. Don't do this because this, and you're analyzing and it's fine.
Yep.
But the elephant is your emotional center. It's lumbering along beautifully and very strongly in a direction. And the book is about, the premise is to pull back on the ant and let the elephant dominate just a little bit more, because so many of us are ant dominant. Yeah. We're just analyzing and assessing, and it pulls us away from our emotion centers. And then I think there's emptiness there. I think there's frontal cortex, brainy, analytical stuff, but then there's no real deep emotional connection. And I think we're emotional humans.
That was my experience. Like, this is like, so much of my work is around my own experience. Like, I learned growing up, I was the second oldest of 11 kids, and there was work to do. And there was, we talked about the farming, and like, we got to get in, we got to do the things. And that's where a lot of us get to, is we sometimes, like, there are parents that allow more emotions, and that's beautiful. But then as we grow older, the question is, how much of our adult life, after we take the parents out, let's say we reach our 20s, how often do we slow down enough because of work or life or our own kids or financial things? How often do we slow down enough to feel those emotions? And that's where we continue the disconnect. Like, we're not putting all of this on mom and dad. Like, we have a whole life of this. It's just that a lot of times that's where we stop. Like, and a lot of times maybe it's mom or dad, they're tired and they're like, I just can't handle your emotions. That one time can be enough to start that pattern of, now I'm 20 years old and I just lost my job, and I'm so worried about paying the bills that I got to go out and find the next one, that I don't take any time to grieve or to feel or to sense that loss, and to just be with me and just say, hey, dude, like, you're okay. I got you. And when we do that, like, we get that little bit of self-connection. A lot of times it's we jump into the judgment. It's like, I should have been better at work. I should have done this differently. I should have done that differently. I should have got more education. And there's a quote that literally changed my life in so many ways. Mother Teresa, and she said, if you're judging someone, you don't have time to love them.
And include yourself.
It starts with yourself. Yes, absolutely. And so if I'm judging me, if I'm saying like I shouldn't, and should is always a judgment. We hear that quote, or that saying is, don't should on yourself. And that's okay, but then we got to do something about it. And so what do we do when we are shitting on ourselves? It's not just don't stop. It's not just stop. It's like, what do we do with that? Can we stop judging ourselves?
I love what you said about taking the time to slow down and really process emotions, really process the things that we go through. In medicine, right? Mm-hmm. Everything from high school on, I want to go to medicine, it's about 10,000 miles an hour. Yeah. You're hustling, you're getting straight A's in all your classes, you're working extra hard, you're doing the extra credit, you're doing the extracurriculars, you're building up your stats in your resume, you're volunteering, you're doing these things, you're getting into college, you're doing the same stuff, you're volunteering, you're working hard, you're doing all the things. And all along that journey, at some point you get married, you have children, and you're both just blazing through life. You're just blazing through it. And then medicine is brutal. The whole med school hours are brutal. Shauna used to make me a dinner and come take it to school with a couple of my kids. Mm-hmm. And they're little, and we'd hang out for dinner, and then I'm like, I gotta go grind some more,
Yeah.
And then through all that, you're seeing some heavy duty trauma. You're seeing some heavy stuff. You're seeing like guys with a knife sticking out of his neck, and you've seen all kinds of, my trauma surgery rotation was in downtown. It was like a ghetto between, I don't know if a ghetto, but it was a town between Miami and Fort Lauderdale. And there were some rough neighborhoods, and we saw lots of gunshot wounds and lots of trauma. And you're just like, whoa. And then you're expected to stay all night, all day, the next day, and then wake up and rinse and repeat. And you get very little sleep, and you get very, and you're grinding, and you're never really processing, holy crap, the guy had a knife sticking out of his neck, and we had to calm him down. And we had to do big surgery to kind of dissect down into half all these vessels. And then go into your career, and you have, some people undergoing some really traumatic things, and you're not ever taking the time to process that and to really feel that. And you're just not slowing down. You just can't slow down. And I think it's brutal in life, like you're saying, but it's even more brutal in medicine, in healthcare. These doctors are just, they're little like, they're so frontal cortex-y. They're so left brain dominant, like, because you have to be type A. You have to.
You gotta go.
And you have to have a little narcissism, and you have to have a little bit of, got to push really hard, and to take the time to just breathe.
Yeah, I was hearing that. I wanted to share a little story because I had a client that it's probably been 2-3 years now. She's 63 years old, beautiful soul, wonderful, amazing woman. I love her so much. And we were in a session and we were dealing with some pretty hard stuff. And I was like, okay, let's slow this down. Let's breathe. I was like, can you take a deep breath? And her deep breath looked like this. Like, if you see, it was like, there wasn't any movement. I'm like, okay, let's take a deeper breath. And she did. And I was like, okay, that's still not a very deep breath. Let's do that again. And so she took a deep breath, finally got her to take a deep breath. And then I asked her, when did you stop breathing? And she looks at me and she looks up into the sky and she just thinks. And I just let her sit with that question. And she sits with it for like 2 or 3 minutes. And I'm like, when did you stop breathing? And she sits with it longer. And it took about 15 minutes and lots of prompts of when did you stop breathing? And she, in that moment, she's like, oh, I figured it out. And she describes this experience of when she was about 24 years old. And here she is, 63 years old, 40 years later. And her psychological understanding is that she's not breathing. I'm like, oh. And so we got to work through that. And at the end of that session, she just takes a deep breath, like, wow, I'm alive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens. Like sometimes, and it's not by fault of ourselves. Like there's no judgment here. It's just the awareness that sometimes things happen in our lives that cause us to believe things that aren't true. But that gets so stuck in there that we live a completely different life because of that idea that I'm not breathing, I'm hurt, I'm damaged, I'm broken, I'm not enough. And we just carry that on until we slow down enough to say, okay, can we look at that? Can we help rewrite that story a little bit so you can see that you are breathing, that you have life, and that you get to enjoy life right now as a 63-year-old? And it's just amazing to see the transformation in a human being when we slow down to look and to see, like, I'm valuable enough to take the time to know that I'm breathing, or whatever it is, that thing that we think caused us so much pain over life.
Mm. I love it. You have to recalibrate and slow down. I want to ask you a question. You can think about it while I share a little bit. But the question is, what are the skills? Are there systems or processes that we can deploy in our lives consistently to slow down and to be present and to breathe? One of them for me, growing up in a small town, you realize how slow these small towns are. They're slow. Mm-hmm. They're slow. The tire person, I used to work in a tire shop. My boss, Larry Berg.
Larry Bird, huh? Not the Larry Bird.
No, Berg.
Oh, Berg.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
He was so slow. He was very slow. And the way he talked, the way he moved, and everybody in that town was a little slow. And people from the city would come visit and they're like, why is everybody slow here? I'm like, I don't know, man, but we're slow. And it's okay. And then I go to Vegas and everything's so fast. And then I lived in Taiwan for a little while, and everything is twice as fast as Vegas.
Oh, really?
It's at least sometimes 3. It's crazy fast, like very fast. And you could feel the pace of the society, and you're like, whoa. So when I was young, I used to just go out in my backyard. I lived on dirt roads. It was just a high mountain desert, 6,000 feet at the valley floor. And I'd hop on my 4-wheeler and I'd shoot up into the canyon, and I'd often just sit around. I'd fish a little bit. I might hike a little bit, and then I'd sleep up there and just sleep on a tarp because it rarely rained. Yeah. And then I'd come home and I just always felt grounded in the wilderness, like just in just connected to yourself, to God, to your emotions, to your thoughts. And then I lost that in pursuit of left brain dominant things, right? Like medical school and, undergrad degrees and all these things. And now, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I started like just spending a little bit more time in nature, foraging for mushrooms and, and just walking and breathing. And Sean was like, "Why are you going up there so much?" I'm like, "I don't know, but it's magical." and I mean, I have very therapeutic cry sessions, walking through the woods, breathing, just breathing. And it's often at elevation, so you really got to work to breathe.
Right, you're actually breathing,
like
right?
11,000 feet, and I'm moving around, but the emotional processing is stuff that I hadn't done in years.
Yeah.
And I needed to do in order to reconnect with myself. I wouldn't say I'm one that has a lack of self-love. I don't have any of those tendencies or the dialogues that are like, I coulda, shoulda, woulda, this and that. I tend to be very upbeat and positive, but I was still pursuing life very fast.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different pieces. Like sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's self-love. Like none of us have all of them or any of them, but we're just different. But for sure, that slowness is, and self-love sometimes is missing in that I'm just not slow with me. Like that is a piece of self-love that sometimes we don't give ourselves, is that self-connection, that ability to cry or grieve or hurt or be angry even sometimes.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, like, what are some of the things? One of the things that I love
besides
the most,
mushroom foraging,
besides that, because that works, right? Go mushroom foraging, and really that's true. Like, there's a lot of times where it's like, get out in the mountains, go on a walk. You don't even have to get on the mountains, just go on a walk, get out in some fresh air and move your body. Yeah. I mean, I have a client that recently I banned her from reading self-help books for 6 months. I said, if you read anymore, you're done working with me, because she was using them as ways to find where she'd done life wrong. And every client's different. I've never done that with a client. And so it's like, where can I find that piece where I get to love me? So you ask that question of like, what's a process or a system? One of the ones that I love the most is a question. Came up with it, I don't know, it's probably been 4 or 5 years ago now. And it's a simple question because it slows us down. It's like, what do you need right now? What do I need right now? Now there's some key important things there. Number one is the right now. It's like, what do you need right now? There is actually a true answer to this, and I've heard so many different answers to this question, from I want to take my socks and shoes off to relax, or I need some food, or like there's all these different answers to it. But if you really slow down and answer this question, you don't need anything right now. Like right now in this moment, I'm sitting here having this beautiful conversation with you, and that's all I need. But if I'm not in presence, if I'm not slowed down, then I'm worried about my bills that I got to pay. I'm worried about driving home today. I'm worried about my kids. I'm worried about all these things. But that's how disconnected we are from the present moment oftentimes, because we hear, what do you need right now? And we go off into all these needs, all these things in the future. And so that's a question I give to a lot of people of, if you're feeling disconnected, if you're feeling away from yourself, if you can slow yourself down just enough to ask that question, what do I need right now? And breathe, because that's an invitation to breathe. It's like, what do I need right now? And if you really investigate it, the answer is always, right in this moment, I don't need anything. If I'm conscious, I'm breathing, I'm alive, I got food, I'm okay. And it gets us back to reality. And the reality is always, I'm okay right now.
I love it.
And so the other little piece to that question is, well, what do I need? Need is a lot of times that driver to go do something else. It's like, I need, a lot of times I get in a session, I'll ask that question, like, I just need self-love. But then they're thinking that they don't have it. The fact is, we all have self-love. We just don't see it. And so I like to take that a little bit farther. And after I get, if you can get yourself to that point of, what do I need right now? Oh, I don't need anything right now. Then you get to ask the next beautiful question. Well, if I don't need anything right now, well, then what do I want? And doing things out of want versus need is a completely different life shift. Because if I need it, it means I'm lacking. It means there's not enough in life. It's a little bit of that scarcity mindset. Something I want, I'm at least okay with what's going on. want's not the highest because there's a lot of things that we want. Like, it's like, I want my dinner warm. I want my wife to greet me in a certain way when I get home. I want my car to turn on when I get in my car. And so want is even a little bit diluted. So the next level up is, what do I desire? So if we can get to, I don't even want, like, what do I desire? What's the deepest desire of my heart? Oh, I want my kids to be okay. I want to feel valued at work. Well, that's a different thing. And even that's not the most powerful. The next powerful, and I know we're going on here, but what do I want to create? Because we are creators. We are the creators of our experience. And so if we can slow down, we actually regain the ability to choose where our life goes. And it just comes from that simple slowing down. What do I need right now? Oh, I don't need anything. So in that case, what do I want to create? I want to create a connected experience. I want to create love. I want to create space for me. I want to create an understanding that I am enough.
I was thinking of the obstacles to this process. And there are plentiful in our society. I think there's a lot of things that speed us up and a lot of things that distract us. And I think we need to be aware of that and maybe like find time to rein it in and not be distracted and be more, here's your favorite word, present.
Yeah.
Can we speak to this space a little bit?
Absolutely.
I think our goal, if we were to talk to probably 90% of people, like our goals in life are probably similar. Like we want some degree of satisfaction. And life satisfaction, I think, is a lot of it is between our two ears, like the way that we perceive things and the way that we look at things, and rich versus, what's the other word? Wealthy or content. I love the Hispanic word for happiness there. Estoy contento. I'm content. And I think it's so beautiful. Let's talk to this presence space a little bit. And I'd like to hear your insights there. You talk about, being a presence coach, and how do we become slowing down and finding self-love is what we've talked about thus far. And I love that tool you talked about, where we're asking ourselves, what do I need? And then what do I want? And what do I desire? And then I forget the next one.
What am I going to create?
What am I going to create? And that evolution of our exertion, I'll call it dopamine, because dopamine is what pushes us to do things. But that exertion, that emotional, mental, physical exertion is our pursuit in life. That is what we do. Okay, let's take it from there.
Yeah. So one of the things that question, like what you're sharing brings up in me is an idea that I heard from Michael Singer. He's written some amazing books. Great guy. I love his teachings and the things that he shares. But one of the things he shares is if he gave every human being on the planet Earth, we give them a piece of paper and a pen and write on there, what do we want in life? We're going to write down, I want a marriage, I want money, I want a good career, I want kids, I don't want kids. And then he says it so beautifully. He says, but the truth is we're all lying, because that's not what we want. Because what we really want is what we think those things will bring us, which is contentedness and happiness. Right? And so that's where, when we're needing something, it's like, oh, I want that. Actually, we don't, because it's not that we want. That's where we get confused. Is the presence is when we take all of that away. And so asking that question, it brings us into presence, but then we can go in a deeper way. It's like, okay, so if I had all of these things, would I really have what I want? Well, we don't know, because sometimes we want a marriage, but then that person turns out to be an abuser. Or we want this job, but then our boss is a jerk. Or we want kids, and there's just troubles, and we're just not made to be parents. And so that's actually not what we want. And so it's like, oh, can I be okay with what I have right now? And what do I have right now? That's the question. I think that's where we miss it, is that we think that happiness, that peace, that joy is out there to be gotten, rather than right here.
Just over that next hill.
Just over the
I'll
next
get
hill.
it. Then I'll be happy. Then I'll
Yeah.
be happy.
And where did we start that? We started that when we were at home wanting to go to school because our older siblings were. And then we got into kindergarten and we wanted to be in middle school because we could do these other fun things. And we want to be in high school and we want to drive. Then we want to be in college and we want to be out of college and we want to be married. Then we want to have kids. And just always that drive rather than slowing down. It doesn't mean that when we slow down that those things aren't possible, but can I do those things out of a joy for life rather than out of that will give me joy in life? And it's just slowing down that little piece to be like, I don't want to be anywhere else. This is another tool that I love to use and I share with a lot of people. Right now, and I know we've got people that are going to listen to this, but right now there's only two most important people in my life. Any idea who they are? That's an actual question for you.
I know the answer because I remember you've taught me this before.
I shared that with you, right?
Yeah.
And who is it?
It's me and you.
Yeah, why? Because we're the ones here. Like I have 3 amazing kids and I love them to death. But because I practice being with me all the time, guess where I'm at when I'm with them? I'm actually with them. It's not selfish to be here just with you right now, because when I practice that in this conversation or when I'm out in the foyer waiting to come in here with Bart or whatever it is, I'm always with the person I'm with. Therefore, I'm practicing every moment that when I'm with the people that I love the most, I'm really with them. It's something that's really simple, but it's like if you're in a business meeting, can you be at business meeting? Why? Because if I'm not, here's the opposite side. If I'm not here with you right now, then when I go home and I'm with my kids, I'm worried about how I was with you. Therefore, I'm not there. I'm here. And we just do that cycle. Then tomorrow, I'm going to go to work and I'll be talking to somebody else. I'm going to be with one of my clients. But I'm thinking about how I didn't show up for my kids. So I'm not with my client. And it just perpetuates until we slow down. Like, I'm going to be here right here with John because John is the most important person in my life because he's the one I'm with. And then there's another level to that, another piece to that, which is, guess what? There's always somebody I'm with. And that's me. And that's self-love. That's presence. That's connection. That's you being up in the mountain hunting for mushrooms and allowing yourself to cry because you were there with you.
Yeah.
That's you if you decide to go on a walk and you just see the nature. You're actually there. Why? Because you've practiced being with you.
Yeah, and often in our daily lives, we're not present with me, with us. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
So it's really simple. Sometimes I'll be like a year into coaching with my clients. They're like, we've talked about this before. And I'm like, yeah, that's all we do. We do the same thing over and over and over and over again because that's how we learn. Like so much of happiness is actually not adding, it's subtracting. It's what I like to call subtractive creation. Because a lot of times, like if we ask, like, why aren't we with ourselves in daily life? A lot of times it's because of a belief. It's because of something that happened that gets triggered. And therefore it's like, I had a bad boss before, but I'm at work and my current boss is not a bad boss, but he said something that reminded me of my old boss and that I didn't like that. And so now I can't be here with my new boss because my stuff from my old boss is here. Mm-hmm. So peace, a lot of times, love, connection, presence comes from subtracting, going back and allowing ourselves to get over that stuff with the old boss so the new boss can just be him, not the old boss. And so a lot of what we want in life to bring this presence, this connection, this love is to let go of some of the things of the past that we allow to keep us from being present right now.
Wow. I just thought of an example. There was a therapist that I met with a few weeks back, Jerem Ball, super great guy. We talked about making our world smaller. He said our worlds were never meant to be so huge. Mm-hmm. And social media pushes our presence out to billions of people across the whole world. Yep. And there are people who continue to do that. They push themselves out to the masses, to be influential, to be present, but not present, like not with self, but with everyone else. And they create almost a third person personification and all these things. And I think there's some, like what you said, what did you call it? Something subtracting.
Subtractive creation.
Subtractive creation because this is multiplying creation. This is like I'm present to the billions.
Right.
Whereas subtractive creation might be, I'm turning all that off. I'm no longer going to push myself out to the millions. I'm going to be present with the one, with the self, and then with the one or two that I'm with and around, and just get really small. My social circle is going to get small. And I think that's where the contentment and peace come from, and real connection. And I think that's what we're starving for. And that effort of putting yourself out to the masses through social media, through XYZ, whatever it is, for everyone else to see how whatever you are, doesn't matter, is unhealthy. It's very unhealthy. It pulls us away from the self.
Well, I've seen some studies that like most, I don't know if it's worldwide, but most Americans don't have 2 or 3 genuine friends in life.
Yeah.
Why? Because none of us are here. I can't connect with you if I'm not here. Right. And subtractive creation, a lot of times I'll have a client start and they're all about building new things, which I love doing. Like, yeah, let's go create. That's so much fun. But the question is, what foundation are you building on? If we're going to build a new skyscraper over here across the street, are we going to just go like build it on top of the houses that are already there? That's like, we know that's illogical. You would tear down the houses, then you would excavate and find a solid foundation, then you build from there. And yet sometimes when we find this place in life where we're ready to build new or to feel more presence or connect more with people, sometimes we want to go straight to that rather than taking out some of the stuff that's going to create an unsolid foundation for us to grow from.
Okay, I'm going left brain on you for a minute. What are the signs and symptoms of that I might have? Because I think we have blind spots in this.
Absolutely.
Everybody has.
Yeah. I have a coach myself. Why? Because I don't see those parts of me that I'm missing.
Yeah.
I don't.
So what are the signs and symptoms that I might not be present with self and with others? What will I be feeling? What will I be thinking? What could I be doing that could be a sign that I'm maybe not as present?
Yeah. Dissatisfaction with life.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. Like that one alone can cover so many of us.
Yeah.
Why is that proof?
I'm unhappy. I'm not
happy.
satisfied.
Yeah.
I just feel
Depression.
this sense of,
Yeah. Sadness, disconnection, anger. Like a lot of the let's quote unquote negative emotions.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling those, it's because I'm not connected to myself. Like a lot of sadness, a lot of anger and rage and stuff. The seed of that is sadness. When I don't feel seen or heard, I get angry. And so that is a more aggressive side, but really like that covers about all of it. It's like, if I'm not happy with my life, if I'm discontent at work, I mean, this is a pretty broad sweep, right? There's a lot of like, but you shared in that story, like a lot of even really successful people aren't feeling that joy. And so when we're disconnected from ourselves, like how could we feel joy? Because that's the thing is, if I can't feel the sadness, then how am I going to know if I'm even feeling joy? If I can't feel my emotions, if I'm not connected to me, if I don't experience what's here right now, I might miss the joy that's coming into me because I'm not even aware of it because I'm not here. I'm out there trying to fix something for next week.
One of the ones that I thought of, in addition to the ones you just mentioned, was a lack of sincerity. So maybe it's a flippant comment to a child who comes to you with a thing, and you just throw anything at them. Maybe sarcasm. For years, I had a problem with this. I was burning super hot in the hospital. I was delivering babies at 3 a.m. and working super hard and getting up early and not doing a good job of taking care of me. And then I end up coming home and I just don't have anything in the tank. I'm on fumes. I'm spent. I want to disconnect. I want to doom scroll. I want to just disconnect. And I have these sweet kids, and they want to say, "Hey, Dad, what's going on?" And so the lowest common thing that I could give them was insincerity and sarcasm. And it hurt me over years, and it hurt them over years. And I didn't realize I was doing it until finally one day I gained some emotional insight on my emotional intelligence. And I just said, holy crap, I don't like what this is doing. And I thought it was funny, and they thought it was funny. They would laugh or whatever, but it was insincere.
But deeper down, it hurt.
It was insincere. And it gave them a sandy foundation to stand on with the relationship with me. And I thought, holy mackerel. So it was kind of cute the way we fixed it. I said, guys, like, I've noticed that I'm too jokey with you guys. And they're like, no, Dad, we like it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, superficially, you like it. But in your heart of hearts, you don't like it, and neither do I. So I'm going to work on this. Yeah. And it was a neat opportunity. I feel a little remorse about it, but I'm not beating myself up over it, right? Because we grew through the imperfection. We figured it out as a team, and I learned a ton from that.
That's the thing, is that it's okay to have made mistakes. Like, it's okay. It's actually great, because when we look back and we notice we've made a mistake, like, that's beautiful. Why? Because it's proof that we've gotten past it. It's proof that we've been aware, maybe not past it yet, but we're aware that it's something that's not completely true to us. And that's beautiful. Like, sometimes we look back and we're going to be remorseful. And also the invitation is to be kind. It's like, don't go to beating yourself up. And some people don't have as much of a problem as that, and some people do. And like, there's ways to combat that, but if it's all about, can I accept that this is for me? Like, oh my gosh. And another thing that you said I'd really love is that you went and you talked to them and you apologized. As adults, that's a huge, beautiful thing. Whether you're apologizing to an adult, to a friend, to a spouse, to a child, it's not about saying, and it's not about judging yourself. It's not like, I was wrong. It's about, hey, I noticed this and I'm going to do better. Wow. That's pretty powerful.
In that parenting podcast, I'll put another plug in for it. Kelly Newman calls it repairing.
Yep. She
says the difference between a reasonably emotionally intelligent person, or more or less, is the willingness to repair. That we all, every single one of us, make mistakes with our children, with yelling, or with getting, I totally lost my crap there. And I just wanted to come to you and apologize. That was overboard. What I was afraid of, let me show you some vulnerability now, was that if I don't respond in some way, that it will hurt you down the road. Yeah. And so I just want to tell you, that anger that you saw was just me being afraid. I love you, and I'm sorry it was overboard. And that is healing, boy.
Yeah, it's so good. And I think there's one other little piece to that. It's also, sometimes it's us learning to stand up for ourselves, the anger is. It's like, I've been holding in my voice for so long. I've been shutting myself down so long. Was it right for me to take that anger out on you? No, it wasn't. Like, anger is never right to put on somebody else. But did I need to get that out? Yeah, I did. Sometimes it's better to, pound a pillow or scream into a blanket or something. But sometimes the most genuine, loving thing we can do is voice the hurt that's in us, because that's self-love. Like, sometimes, like, anger is a big emotion and we don't want to feel it and we can't handle it. That's why we shove it down. It's like, but can I do it? And sometimes it'll come out in a lashing out. And if we're aware enough, we can see, oh my gosh, there is anger there, and I'm going to handle it, but I'm not going to handle it that way anymore. I'm going to handle it in a good way, but I'm also not going to just shove it down. Because if we shove it down, it's going to come back up sometime.
Okay, man. Emotional intelligence, I think, is probably among the top 2 things we can work on in this life. Mm-hmm. Just how do we process? How do we regulate our feelings? It is okay to be angry. It is okay to feel things, and it's actually healthy and good. And let's embrace that. Mark Brackett, he's the center of emotional intelligence at Yale University. He's the head there, and he did a podcast. I love Huberman. I think he does good work. And he did a sweet podcast on emotional intelligence. And he teaches a curriculum called RULER: recognize, understand, label, express, and regulate. And that's exactly what you're saying. If we can recognize it, understand it, be okay with it, right? Mm-hmm. Label it. Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then express it. Hey, I was really upset, and this is why.
Yeah.
Boy, that regulates, right? Then you regulate. It's RULER. It's the RULER acronym.
I love it.
I think it's so cool, and I think he teaches it across middle schools and high schools and work places.
I think there's so many of those things. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'm like, I was talking to somebody else. I can't remember what the specific topic was that we were talking about. It was earlier today. I'm like, man, just if they teach that in schools.
Yeah.
Like, I love educators. There's a lot of great stuff out there. And there's a few things that if we could learn, like emotional regulation and self-love and presence, like if we just took 10 minutes and just sat with ourselves every once in a while, like there's some things that we could really, and maybe that's just an invitation for us as parents to say, hey, I'm going to spend 10 minutes a day with my kids, like noticing their, like helping them identify and label and feel and express. Like that's something we can do as parents.
So with this process of being present and loving ourselves and connecting with others, the red flag in our own lives might be a lack of sincerity. Maybe we're overly joking and sarcastic, or discontent. You're angry, you're frustrated a lot. You're not content with where you are, and you just feel this sense in your heart that you're not aligned. Mm-hmm. Those are the flags to say, maybe I need to work on this. Yeah. Maybe I need to look at this.
Slow down, reach out to somebody that I can actually have a true, honest conversation with. Because something that's a beautiful place to take anger out on is if you have somebody that's trusted that can hold space for you and you can just express all of your anger, like it's a beautiful place to let it go sometimes if you have that.
Anger is so cool. I've been a coach to my kids in sports a lot. And I love sports. I think they're so healthy. There's so many lessons you can learn. And if you have a coach that has reasonable emotional intelligence, it can be really awesome for the kids too.
There's that caveat though, right?
That is the caveat. So one of the things I'm working on these kids, and I love to take a bunch of scrubs, like they just never played the sport before and they stink at it. And I like to just help them grow through the sport. I'm like, hey, watch this. Here's some fundamentals on this sport and let's work on this. And I often talk to my kids' teammates and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I need you to get a little bit angry.
Yeah.
I need you to get a little bit mad and hit this ball over the net. Yeah. Volleyball was the sport at this time. And she's like, I can't get mad. And I'm like, no, I need you mad. And she gets angry and she's like, it's okay to feel a little bit angry, because you've got to get the gumption to push this ball over that net. Yeah. You got to get there. And so I've always been one of righteous fury. I every time I learn, like all my teachers hated me and then loved me because I was not content to just not understand. Yeah. I was aggressive learner. I'd get so angry. I'd be mad, not mad at them. And they at first they thought, oh, this guy's really intense. But then they're like, actually, he just wants to learn. And so over my years of frustration and anger, I've learned that it's actually beautiful and it's okay. Recently, I had a little frustration. I was just feeling quite unsettled. And after many trips to the mountains, hunting mushrooms and pondering and processing and pondering some more and breathing, there was some insight there. And the insight was maybe you don't have to fix everything. And I was thinking, wait, no, I'm a dad, I'm a father, I'm a husband. I need to fix stuff. This is who I am. Mm-hmm. What do you mean? I'm a doctor too. Like I fix stuff.
Yeah, that's my life.
This is my jam.
Trust me, I understand that one.
and I kept kicking against it with my left brain. I'm like, no way is this true. This is some soft touch crap. And I was so mad about it. And it said, yeah, but wait, what if it's not your job? He just kept poking me, right? This experience of mine in nature. And I was literally just walking through the woods, breathing, hunting for mushrooms. Yeah. And occasionally the nudged thought would come to my brain saying, hey, nudge, nudge, like an old horse just nudging you. Mm-hmm. Hey, nudge, nudge. What if it's not? Yeah. And I'm like, argh. And every time it would say that, I would kick against it. I'm like, argh, no way. This is the way it is. I'm a dad. I have to be a good dad. I have to line out my kids. That's my job. Nudge, nudge. What if it's not? Yeah. And eventually I came to the space where I could let it go. Yeah. And as I let that go, a ton of frustration and anger went away. Mm-hmm. And then I was so much more present with my wife, my children, because I wasn't trying to line them out. I wasn't trying to fix anything. I'm just like, hey, tell me what's going on. Huh.
Interesting, huh?
How's that feel? Maybe it's not my job to fix that. Maybe it's your job to fix that. And maybe I will just ask some questions and like be a better dad about this. And I don't know why it took me like 30 years to figure this out, but it was so lovely, and it's been so good for my relationships.
Yeah. No,
And myself and them.
That's it's so powerful. I want to jump back just a little bit, and then I'll jump back to this.
Yeah.
One of the things you said about anger is that anger is just a little bit of a misuse of the energy of life. Like that power that we just drive with in life, anger is just a little bit of misused power. Like that's why there's so much power in anger, because a lot of times anger and frustration comes from a misuse or a misdoing of the energy that we have to drive and do so many amusing things.
I like that.
Right? It's not
Get mad at it. Not too mad. Not just the right amount.
Exactly.
And I often say that to the kids.
Yeah.
Just the right amount of mad.
That is an energy of life that's powerful and amazing and beautiful. It's like, can we just channel it in the right way? Like, that's what I always tell my kids. I don't care if you're angry. You being angry as you want, just don't do it towards somebody. Because if you're angry, if you let that, and then that's the right use of power. The right use of power is to do things with life. It's that creative power that is like we just talked about. It's like, let's get to creative. That's creation. But we get angry because we're not creating. We're just stagnant. And so we get frustrated. And so it comes out in a different area. So sometimes like use that, because then you get to learn how to use it in the right creative way. Then going back to the other thing with anger and with like, as you're telling that story, I was like, oh my gosh, literally this last weekend. So been divorced for about 6 months now. And so there's some new things going on in life and kids and all that kind of stuff. And my girls were over at my house this weekend, and this is me being vulnerable. Like I don't have to hide anything because I'm not ashamed, because I get to learn, right? There's things. We had some knockout, drag out, angry fights, right? My 13-year-old, she was pretty tired. So she had a lot of emotions and she's got a lot of stuff going on. She's pretty angry. And so I got angry. But the reason I got angry is because I wanted to help her. I wanted to fix her problems, right? And so I get angry, and then I get angry because I can't fix her problems. And I get angry because she's mad at me because she doesn't want me to fix her problems. And we kind of did that, and we got it settled down. And then the next morning we got some good sleep that night. And the next morning it popped up just a little bit. And my 11-year-old, she's a beautiful peacemaker and loving, but she got to be coached to Dad for a minute. She's like, Dad, stop it. You're not responsible for our emotions. You're not responsible for our feelings. Now, I've taught them well, because otherwise I wouldn't know that, right?
That's incredible.
But that's the thing, is she called me out, and then and she's standing across the room yelling this at me, but it was very kind and very loving. She's like, Dad, it's not your fault that we're hurting. There's a lot of things going on, and we just need to cry, and we just need to be mad sometimes.
Wow.
And I said, yeah, you're right. And then she came over and she gave me a hug, and I cried in her arms. Dude, because it's all right that I don't always do it right. And it's not my thing. It's not my problem to fix their things. Thing is, as a coach, I'm really good at that. But as a dad, it's hard to let our kids experience life, because we've experienced and we know that it hurts. But man, it's worth it, because when I see that, it's like, they've got it. They're okay. And that's more insight for me next time when they're hurting. It's just like, hey, do you want a shoulder to cry on? Do you need to go outside and hit something or kick a ball? But I'm not going to step in, because the whole reason we had the fight was because I was getting in. And this is the thing I tell, it's like one of my highest agreements with life. And that is that I will not get between somebody and themselves. Like, I love coaching, and I get in and I mess around with a lot of stuff. But if I ever get between you and you, I'm out. And the other night, I was getting in between my daughters and themselves. And the problem with that is that if I teach them that I can fix it, they don't know where to go to actually fix it. They don't know where to go for the peace. They don't know where to go for the presence. And so it's like, no, I'm done. I'm not getting in between you and you, because you got it. And the hurt that we feel sometimes as family members or as friends is that when I need to fix something for you, it's that I don't trust you, that you have you. And if there's anything that I've learned in this life as I continue to do this work, is, John, you've got you. Your kids have got themselves. My kids have got themselves. I got me. That's presence. That's self-love. That's power. That's connection. And it's just so amazing when you build that trust, and when It's like, I'm here. If you need some, I'm here with you. But if I'm getting in between you and you, I'm out.
Hmm. That quote from your daughter was so profound.
Just amazing, isn't it?
The maturity, the depth of understanding, from the mouth of babes. I mean, she is bright. How old is she?
She's 11.
Wow. Yeah. And for her to come at you with such power and fury, but also
And to
truth.
know that she can.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. It's like, whoa.
It's not your job to feel our emotions. Sometimes we just need to be frustrated and angry and upset at life, and we don't need you to fix it. Dad. Yeah. Just be with us and love us, and just be sad with us, or be whatever we are.
Yeah.
That is so powerful. Wow.
And that's the thing with all of this. If we find those things that are showing us that we're not with ourselves, the sarcasm, the lack of presence, the doubt, the thing, there's only one thing to do. Slow down and be with yourself. Mm-hmm. Do what my daughter said. It's like, stop. Let me feel, Dad. Stop. Let me feel, adult me. Let my younger self that's still hurting, let him feel something. Mm. That's presence, but we don't see it as presence. We don't see that as powerful because we have this idea that the fix for these emotions, the fix for all this stuff is out there in more money, out there in the next job, out there in a new relationship, out there in our kids being okay. Actually, it's not. My okayness is sitting here with me. My kids' okayness is sitting there with you. Your okayness is sitting there with you. And if we slow down, we'll actually see it. But we don't slow down enough sometimes to see it.
Ryan, thank you for sharing so much wisdom and vulnerability with us, and some personal stories. And I value this time with you. I think it's been really sacred and special and lovely. And I hope our fans have learned some good things too today. I can feel your presence so strongly, and it's so refreshing. I think sometimes our communication with others is here, and in academia and stuff, it's all just like, left brain, frontal cortex, like intellectual stuff. But today it was like right here. And I think that's what we're going for, is being better communicators from your hearts to heart, and finding that space and that time and that vulnerability and that self-love and presence to just be better at that. Yeah. And I think that's really literally why we're here on this earth, is to love, share, connect. Love, share, connect some more. And just get good at that process, and with others, with self, with our kids, with everybody. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. I'm single right now, and so I'm getting to the point where it's like, I'd like to date some, but I have some of my clients are like, you couldn't date. Like, you're on the phone with us till 10 o'clock at night sometimes. Like, oh, that's true. And like, that's how much I love this. Like, man, can we just really love us? There's so much joy. Like you asked at the beginning, it's like, what can we do to find that beauty in life? It's that. Find yourself. Mm-hmm. Literally, the beauty that we see or don't see is because we do or don't see ourselves. The end. Like, that's the only thing. It's the only. Now, is there a lot of paths to that? Sure. But if we can slow down and find it, we're going to see that life is way more beautiful than we've ever imagined. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you for your shares today, and the things that you shared with us is so lovely. That was very Chinese. 分享 it's like a noun. It's like your share. Anyway, I'm sorry, that was Chinese.
I love it.
To our people, thank you for tuning in. I hope you learned some cool stuff, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and go outside, take a walk, breathe.